So, what would Grandma Edna have to say about APR and annual percentage rate? Well, first off, a little bit of background. Grandma was the oldest of 9. She grew up in the hills of Kentucky. Her dad was a coal miner, and he passed away when she was 14. Grandma never had much money when she was growing up. She married young. She and Grandpa had 5 sons. And as it worked out, I was about 8 years younger than my youngest uncle. So I was pretty close to the boys in age. But tragically, Grandma had to bury 3 of her sons due to a couple of unfortunate car accidents. What that did was made me even closer to her. She viewed me as one of her sons. And so a lot of my childhood growing up was spent at Grandma's house. Grandma was not very educated, but she had a lot of common sense. And with the case of APR, the calculations of the payments, the understanding of the discount points, calculating the APR, that would all be way beyond what she ever learned. But she would look at it in another way, a much more simplistic way. She would say, how much money am I saving every month? And in this case, it was about $23. How much do I have to pay to save that much money? If you recall, the problem had them paying 2 points on a $150,000 loan. That means $3,000. And then she would just simply divide the $3,000 by the approximately $23 to see how long it would take her to get her money back. And if you do that, you'll see it's a little over 10 years. And then she would think, is it likely that I will stay in this house for that length of period of time? In fact, a lot of people move out of their first house within 5 to 6 to 7 years. That being said, if you buy down the loan, pay the points to get the lower interest rate, and you move out early, meaning you sell it and move on, that's going to negate the benefit of buying down the points. The shorter the term of the loan, meaning the sooner you pay it off, the higher the APR goes. And so in order for the APR to be accurate, the loan needs to go for the full 30 years in this case. If it gets paid off any earlier than that, that takes the APR up and up and up. You can see that, quite plainly. If you buy the house and you buy down the points, you pay the $3,000, and you move out after 5 years, that's 60 months, saving, $20 a month or whatever it is, $23 a month. You don't even get half of your original $3,000 back. It was a horrible business decision. But people will rely so much on APR because they think they know exactly what it means. And it's not necessarily the case with a lot of people, because the APR, again, is only relevant if the loan goes full term. If it gets paid off early, that raises the APR. Now back to how Grandma would look at it. She was a hillbilly, guys. I don't know if you know exactly what I mean when I say that. Some people may consider that derogatory. However, it's my people, so, they were hillbillies. And Grandma had a funny way of saying things. If somebody was a nice person, she wouldn't say he's a nice person. She would say he good people. If something tasted really good, we would say, oh, those are good. She wouldn't say those are. She would say them's. Them's good. She just had a funny way of saying a lot of things. And growing up, I kind of thought it was funny. I kind of made fun of her a little bit because I knew she wasn't as educated as I eventually was going to be. And as I got older and, continued to get to know her better, I realized that the problem with an education, what we're all striving for, is that the more educated we get, the more likely we are to ditch our common sense. So when it comes to making decisions, we rely a lot on our education, but that doesn't mean that we should negate good old-fashioned common sense. Grandma had a great saying whenever I would do something stupid, which was quite frequently. She'd look at me and she'd say, Stevie, that's just dumb. And I heard that a lot growing up, some of the dumb things that I did. And when it comes to APR and people's decisions, you know what she'd say? Y'all, that's just dumb. Bye.